Do you wake up every day expecting something to go wrong? Do you feel like the world is getting worse and there's no point in expecting good things from people? Today, we're exploring an essential topic for your mental health: how to cultivate hope even when everything seems difficult. This video is for you who always sees the glass half empty. And don't worry, we're not going to talk about toxic positivity or pretending everything is fine. We're going to use psychology to understand how to train your mind and not live at the mercy of pessimism. How we feed pessimism without realizing it. Imagine this scene. You wake up, still in your pajamas, and the first thing you do is grab your phone. News about politics, economy, violence, and tragedies appear with strong images and bold headlines. Then you open Instagram. The first post is about a betrayal. The second, a podcast clip saying that love is dead, that nobody's worth it anymore. Next, a video about crime in your city. Before you even have your morning coffee, your mind has already been trained to believe the world is ending, that people aren't trustworthy, and that there's no point in expecting good things. The problem? Social media algorithms aren't neutral. They observe what you consume, where you spend more time, what you interact with, and start delivering more of the same. If you watch, read, and comment on negative content, the algorithm understands that's what you want to see. This creates a funnel of information that reinforces your pessimistic lens. This isn't limited to social media. What you read, watch, listen to, and even the conversations you maintain shape how you perceive the world. If you spend most of your time in contact with stories of failure, corruption, violence, and hopelessness, it's natural for your mind to start believing that this is the rule, not the exception. Without realizing it, you're being led to a place where pessimism is no longer a passing state. It becomes a mental habit, an absolute truth. Pessimism versus realism. Here's something important. Pessimism isn't the same as realism. Many people say, I'm not pessimistic, I'm realistic. But there's a crucial difference. A realist recognizes problems but also sees solutions and the bright side. A pessimist sees only the negative side and ignores any positive evidence. Even when someone does something genuinely good, the pessimist will say it was for a bad intention, that they don't believe anyone would do that without expecting something in return. The human brain has something called negativity bias, a natural tendency to pay more attention to threats and risks than to neutral or positive things. This was useful for survival in the past, but today it can distort our view of life. Pessimism can arise from repeated experiences of frustration in the past, a very critical family environment, constant consumption of negative content. Pessimism can be learned as a thought pattern. And here's an essential point. Just as we learn to think and feel one way, we can learn another. This is exactly the work we do in therapy, identifying patterns and rebuilding a healthier, more balanced way of interpreting life. The impacts of chronic pessimism. Chronic pessimism doesn't just affect your mood. It alters your decisions, relationships, and even your physical health. Emotionally, people with chronic pessimism have a higher risk of anxiety and depression, as negative thoughts fuel intense and persistent emotional responses. In relationships, it cultivates distrust, difficulty creating deep bonds, and a tendency to interpret neutral gestures as threatening or false. In physical health, a 2010 Mayo Clinic study showed that people with a more optimistic outlook had a 50% lower risk of premature death than those with a pessimistic outlook. even when accounting for age and pre-existing diseases. Pessimism is associated with higher levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. In career, very pessimistic people have less willingness to try new things, excessive fear of failure, and little openness to change, limiting opportunities at work and in life. These impacts don't emerge overnight. They accumulate until they shape your lifestyle and choices. Realistic hope versus naive hope. When we talk about cultivating hope, we're not talking about deluding yourself or pretending everything is fine. That would be naive hope, or what we call toxic positivity. Realistic hope acknowledges difficulties, but also actively seeks ways to overcome them. Think about it this way. If you can recognize everything that could go wrong, you can also train your brain to analyze scenarios that could go right. Have you ever thought about this? Okay, if everything goes wrong, but what if it goes right? Not everything, but some things. Isn't it worth trying anyway? American psychologist Martin Seligman developed the concept of learned optimism. His research showed that people who learn to reinterpret negative events as temporary or specific, not permanent, have more emotional resilience, fewer depressive episodes, and better physical health. Most importantly, this optimism can be trained. Just as pessimism is learned, hope can be too. You can teach your mind to be more optimistic. Strategies to cultivate hope. Before the strategies, an important point. If you have a diagnosed mental disorder or suspect you have one, like depression, bipolar disorder, or severe anxiety, know that willpower alone may not be enough. In these cases, it's essential to have specialized support. But for daily hope training, here are the strategies. 1. Cognitive reframing. When you notice a negative thought, question its truthfulness and look for contrary evidence. Example, I'll never find anyone. I'll never be happy in love. Question it. Why would I never find someone? So many people find someone, why not me? I'm still young, or even if I'm not, many people find someone after 40, 50. I can find someone if I stay open to it. If you believe you'll never find someone, your behavior will follow that belief, and then it's more likely you really won't. 2. 3 alternatives technique. When facing a problem, find 3 different ways to act or interpret. This breaks mental rigidity. Using the same example, maybe one day I'll find someone and can be happy in love. Even if I stay alone, I can still be happy. I can work on myself and become a better person for relationships. Use your creativity to break the cognitive rigidity of always thinking the same way. 3. Exposure to positive content. Reduce consumption of negative content and increase contact with stories, books, and people who think more optimistically and bring solutions. For example, if you believe nobody's worth it anymore, you can't trust anyone, start seeing stories of trustworthy people who did good things and helped others. This is evidence that there are still good people and that you can trust some of them. 4. Small daily wins. Set simple goals and accomplish them to generate internal confidence and a sense of gratitude. Pessimistic people often don't have the virtue of gratitude well developed. It's important to work on this. 5. Intentional support network. Seek people who expand your perspectives and reinforce your ability to deal with challenges. And remember, if you notice this is causing suffering, that the strategies alone aren't working, and bad days seem much longer and more frequent than good ones, seek professional help. Leaving pessimism behind and cultivating optimism isn't about changing who you are. It's about giving back to yourself the clarity, strength, and hope you may have lost along the way. Hope doesn't deny pain. It doesn't pretend nothing happened or that nothing bad will happen. It looks at the scars and says, "You've been through a lot and you're still here." Pessimism wants you to believe nothing will change. But the truth is that life has probably shown you many times that change is possible, and it can change again. You don't need to feel hope to act. But when you act, even on difficult days, hope begins to find space and can grow. On the cloudiest days, the sun is still there, even when we don't see it, and it always comes back. Let's open ourselves to learning to have a more optimistic view, without toxic positivity, but with a mind open to life's possibilities. If this video helped you, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Share with someone who needs to hear this message. See you in the next video.